Welcome to Permission to Shine, the space where high-achieving women like you come to peel back the layers, overcome what's been holding you back, and rise into your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Sherisse Bisram, inner power activation leader and intuitive healer, and a woman who knows what it means to look like she's thriving on the outside, also while feeling disconnected on the inside. This podcast is here to remind you, you didn't come here to just perform, you came here to lead with your soul. Your obstacles, they're invitations to expand. And your power, it was never outside of you. It's been waiting within you all along. Each week we'll dive into honest conversations, healing insight and soul-led strategies to help you stop self-sabotaging, reclaim your light and lead your life, your business and your relationships from deep-rooted truth. So if you're ready to rise with grace, softness and fire, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hello, my loves. So I'm going to go straight in with this today because this is a line that I hear from pretty much all of the women that come into my world at some point. And the line is, if I don't do it, no one else will. And that is the biggest misconception and identity that we have adopted through being the strong and capable and reliable one. Because we have been taught since our childhood and early ages that if we didn't do it, no one else would do it, right? And if we think about even, those sayings like never send a man to do a woman's job or never send a woman to do a man's job, it's all of these like misconceptions. And the thing is about statements is like affirmations. The more you say them, the more you believe them. And so because you've said, your conscious brain has said, this is true, your subconscious has then tried to support that statement by trying to find ways for it to be true. And this is why affirmations are so powerful, because you can literally affirm anything. You could affirm your whole life that you were a millionaire, right? And if you truly believed you were going to be a millionaire, you would become one. You really would. And the reason that you wouldn't become one is because the doubt overrides the reasons for it. And with any new statement, you'll be, back and forth with the old narrative to the new narrative. But ultimately, that forward one that's been there since your childhood weighs the most, right? That one weighs the most. That's why these statements I'm talking about that are sort of negative connotations, we've been proven through, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of our lives that is true. So if you now want to be a millionaire, you have to work a little bit harder to push that, right? But it's possible. And anyway, that's not what I didn't want to talk about millionaires. But what I do want to talk about is how this is ingrained in our childhood. Because, my story if you've been listening for a while, that I was the parent of my household, the responsible, capable, strong one, carried the emotional burdens of everyone, as well as like the physical strength and like protecting my mum and sister and all of these things. And I believed that I had to, protect everyone. And in doing so, I just took the load of everything. And so there's a funny story I talk about. And me and my sister talk about it openly now, so it's not an issue. She won't mind me mentioning it, but my sister's never driven a car. She's never driven. And it's because she worked in London and then she went traveling and then she came back and she wasn't that interested. And she's tried a few times and just failed, bless her. But she never had the want to drive. Whereas I knew at 16, 17, I was like, right, I'm going to drive. That's going to be my thing. And there was something about driving for me that represented freedom. And I think I always felt trapped inside of myself. And that's why the ability to drive was so important to me. And I actually love driving. Even now to this day, I still love it. But created a rod for my own back, didn't I? Because I then became designated taxi for everything my whole life. And then when I wasn't even present, sometimes my mum would pimp me out as a driver to other people and to my sister. And so I would get like told at the last minute, oh, you got to take your sister here, or you got to take so and so there, or you got to do. And I was like, okay, it's fine. I thought that's my obligation, again, as the oldest sister, that you feel like you're responsible to support your parent or your family or whatever it is, especially being the reliable one. So you never question it. And then it was only as I started doing my healing journey, and I think it was post-pandemic, so I would have been in this like healing process now for a year or so. And I would have got back really late from a job again because I was still doing bits of performing work. And my sister was at my house with the kids, and she said to me, "Oh yeah, when you're ready, just drop us home." And I was so exhausted. I said to her, "I don't want to leave the house today." I was like, "Can you get your own way back?" And she did. And she was annoyed about it, but she did it because she knew she couldn't say anything about it, because obviously she knew how I felt as well, because this is the beautiful thing about my sister. We have grown in our journey together. Like, she's been through so much herself that I think now she understands like where what role I've played, and I understand what role she's played in like both of our upbringing and stuff like that. So we have a beautiful understanding, and she knows that I've carried more than what I wanted to. And so when I said that, she was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I'll find another way." And so that for me was the first sign of me breaking the obligation of having to be the one that always does everything. And I would be so resentful, because that's the line, right? If I don't do it, no one else will. That's resentment. That's laced in resentment, right? And that resentment, my friends, is eating you alive, because the burden of it and the weight of it and the pressure of it is so irritating inside of you, right? It's like grating on you, because you're like, why are these people not competent enough to do it? And this is the thing, right? As especially high achieving women, we have ran, businesses and social lives and friendship groups and hen dos. We're the ones plan everything all of the time, because if no one else does it, if I don't do it, no one else will, or they won't do it as good as me, right? Put your hand up and you relate to that. I'm sure you're nodding along right now, hey? But I shared that story with my sister because since then, she now asks me if she needs a lift. She'll say, "Please, could you take me here?" And or, "If you can't, let me know so I can find another way around to make this work." So since that first example, the one only time since then, she started to change her behavior pattern, because she was aware. Now, when you do this with people that aren't aware, they will question and challenge and all those things. My sister got it. So that was it. The new narrative gets created. But, I speak a lot of the time to mums with teenagers and how they are still picking up so much slack after them, and like not giving them enough ownership of their choices and their lives. And, the first thing we need to do is give people their power back, right? Now, obviously, I'm not using just mums of teenage children. I'm talking about us across the board as women. Like, how many of you expect your partner to do something, and then when they don't do it, you just step in and do it anyway? Do you know what that's doing for heterosexual relationships? That's actually demasculating your man. And this isn't about that, but what happens is that men are on a different clock than we are as women. That's it, right? Unfortunately, that is just the way it is. They will do the task, but they'll do it in their own time. As women, especially high achieving women, we have a time limit because we have other things that we need to get done. They don't. But the problem is, every time you swoop in and save your own day, you don't allow your man to do it. And that's what makes him feel masculine, is feeling needed and appreciated and like he did the job. Good job. Whatever that is, he needs to feel that. So when you're doing it for him or taking over and taking control, it's actually creating an unsteady power dynamic, because guess what? You are then in your masculine, and he doesn't know where to be, because he probably doesn't know even how to be in his feminine, right? Or over time, because you've always taken over, he then does fall into his feminine, which is uncomfortable for men to sustain. Just like it's uncomfortable for us as women to sustain our masculine energy, and why so many of you that come to me with this question and this saying have got autoimmune diseases or stomach issues or anxiety or chronic headaches. Like, this is the cause of it. And I know this is very I'm coming at you today. I am on my period, so it probably is that too. I'm a little bit less filtered, but I say it all with love, because the real power of this word is that when we say, like, when we let go of, "If I don't do it, no one else will," or "they won't do it as good as me," if we actually start to allow people to learn to do it their way and we trust them to do it their way, over time, we won't need to do it. One of my clients used to hate the way her husband tidied the kitchen. And so the routine was supposed to be that she cooks and he cleans, or if he cooks, she cleans. And then what would happen was if she was cooking, she would end up cleaning after because she didn't like the way he did it. Now he was trying, right? And I'm sure a lot of you are nodding and things like that. And you're like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't, if you don't allow them to step in and help you, you are just hindering yourself, right? That knife is in your own back that you've put there, and you keep running into it because you 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 want the control. That's what it is. And it's again because we couldn't control the things that were happening in our own lives in our childhood that we feel like that hypervigilance is here. If we don't do the thing, if we don't take over, if we don't save the day, it will all crumble because that's all we've ever known. But actually, what if it didn't crumble? And what if continuously for the next, let's say, 6 weeks, I'm recording this now just ahead of the summer holidays. And what if for the next 6 weeks you made a vow to yourself to step back? Just step back. I'm not saying don't do everything you do, but I'm saying pick the things that are, and I did this with a client, just traffic like all the things that you do. So, um, like green is like the most important that you need to get done, right? Amber is like, it is quite important, but also not that important. And red, you just can stop. It's just really not going to make a difference. So, for example, it could be that you and your partner both love cooking or you're okay to cook. So that's like an amber task because actually you could do it or he could do it. Not a problem, right? I'd say, I don't know, fixing the light bulbs in the house. You don't need to do that. You could get your partner to do that, Or if you have a teenage son, teach them, like this is where we can start to lift control. And actually, it could even be like if you are single and these are things that you do with your friends. It could be that like if you're always the one to schedule something in with the girls, maybe allow them to do it, you know, and be honest with people as well about where you're at because I think that sometimes people just pull away. And I think that that confuses a lot of people as well. Like if you're going through this process right now and you know that you're a chronic overdoer, right? If you are a chronic overdoer, put your hand up wherever you're listening. You now can give yourself permission to slowly start to overdo, to not overdo. So you're going to still do, but you're not going to overdo. And all you need to say to people is, I'm aware that I have this function where I just like to be in control or I like to do things because I've always done it that way, but it's actually really affecting me. And so I want to just take a little bit of a step back and just, yeah, just enjoy life and being a bit more passive, you know? And passive for a lot of people is a negative word, again, because it kind of means the complete opposite of the spectrum. So if you think about like overdoing is like one end of the spectrum and passive is the other, all of the in between is grey, right? All of this in between is grey area, and your pendulum gets to swing between the two, right? And that's very much the masculine feminine energy thing as well. Like a lot of the time I talk about that and it feels very binary, like those things that I'm saying, but actually swinging between those areas is what gives us our power back. And I've really learned that for myself this year more than anything, is that I can't live in binary spaces. Now, I I considered myself someone that was not never someone that fit into a box, right? And I still consider myself that. But what I've realized is in coping and trying to navigate life, I've tried to put things in boxes for me to understand myself and life. So, for example, like my behavior and things like that. Like I'd always say, oh, that was me, my masculine energy. And now I'm in my feminine, like I was saying it like that, like it fit in a box, but it doesn't. And that's why, and I feel like, these boxes are wide. They weren't constrictive as my old life was, when I was a performer and I was pushing a lot of pressure on myself. But now I've realized, especially this year, that nothing has to fit into a box. Even like, and I had this conversation with a really close friend of mine, and she said, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And I said to her, I don't agree with that because there's so much nuance in everything that we do. And so, yes, it's great to be certain, right? We all love certainty. But again, that's another measure of control. So, what I'm saying to you here is that control doesn't just show up in the actual physical thing of doing, it's in the way we're thinking. And that's where it starts. Like that saying is in itself holds so much power. And actually, we could start to say that not if I don't do it, no one else will, but if I don't do it, I allow someone else to, right? Now that caveat is for the caveat for this is that some things will require you to have to do it. For example, if it's your business or if it's your night to cook or whatever it is, if the ownership is on you for that thing, then absolutely you still need to do the thing. But what I'm saying is there's lots of other tasks that are happening in your life right now that you do not need to hold, right? And so I do urge you to do the traffic light thing because it was really helpful for us to just break that down for her and for her to see um, where she can let go a little bit more and create more space. Because this is the thing, I think that I talk to you all the time about how I numbed myself out by keeping busy. And so my to-do list every single day was like millions of things listed, listed, listed. And I got satisfaction out of ticking it off. But guess what? That's also control. Hey, control. See you, boo. So again, now it's just creating a little bit more flow. So I do have checkpoints that I want to meet during the day, but they're not rigid. And or less, obviously, I'm like a meeting or I've actually got to be somewhere or do something. But my days that are structured around my business and myself, I have some key things I need to meet. One of them is the gym. The other one is eating my meals, making sure I'm eating nutritionally and good and all the things. And actually, I found myself this week doing less physical activity. And so I ate less because of it. But again, it's just finding those balances within what we do. And, even down to a lot of my friends now know that I've pulled back, not because I didn't want to be and see them all the time, but because I just am at maximum capacity. Because this is the thing with my work, obviously, I'm tending to emotional needs and trauma patterns and cycles in other people, right? In my clients. And so I can't then be on a whole day of calls and or even just a few calls and then pick up the phone and ask about what else is happening with them because then it's the same conversation again where I drift into a work pattern instead of being Sherisse, right? So this is where now creating space in my life looks like I'll have calls. I might go to the gym, I might have lunch, and then maybe that evening I might make some time for a friend. Or if I don't have capacity, I'll just do it the next day, find the space the next day. And this is the beautiful thing about when we vocalize how we feel, because I know that you listening have done this where you've been busy back to back all day at work. Someone rings you and they're like, I really need you. But you know that you are back to back and you're exhausted, but you will still go and tend to that friend because that's who you are, because you're reliable, strong, and all the one that people can lean on. But actually, what you could really do with is having a rest, and you would be a better friend the next day when you've got more capacity. Because you know what happens is you turn up at that friend's house and you're so exhausted that you're not really even listening. You might be starving, or you might and then because you haven't eaten, they offer you a glass of wine, you end up having a glass of wine. So then now you're just even more dazed. And then you might find that the next day you get a message from your friend saying, you weren't yourself, what's going on? Or not even asking you what's going on for yourself, but thinking that you're being funny with them, right? That's happened to me with some old friends that aren't my friends anymore. But equally, the friends that love you will still pull you up on that. If you aren't being your um truest, loveliest self, like they will notice it, whether that's like to judge you or whether it's to be like, Are you okay? You know? And so what would be better for everyone is if you were honest and said, hey girl, I am back to back today. I'm so exhausted emotionally and physically. Please, can I see you tomorrow? If not, when are you next available? That's all it takes. And I know that people are, again, worried about being considered flaky or a dropout or a letdown. But again, it's only because you've built your identity around being strong and capable and reliable that actually changing plans feels alien because it's something you've not allowed yourself to do. How does that feel? You've not allowed yourself that grace. And this is what comes with doing the inner work and like finding that self-respect and that self-love and that self-acceptance, all of that good stuff. Like when you don't beat yourself up about not meeting the standards that you set for yourself, your life actually becomes so much easier. And I promise you that actually nothing really changes externally. Like, yeah, people might notice that you've got more time, or the people that were used to you being that one for them, bending over backwards, might be offended that now you're not. But actually, if you're a better person for it, more friendly and more fun and all those things, then they're going to appreciate that more. And if they don't appreciate that more, then obviously they're not supposed to be in your life, right? And I think this is the interesting part, I think, about growing and evolving. But again, we can't control how people see us and perceive us. All we can ever worry about and focus on, I don't want to say worry about, all we can ever focus on is how we feel about ourselves. And if right now you are burnt out to a crisp, you're exhausted emotionally, physically, spiritually, and you just need to rest, then you pushing yourself to be reliable and be the one that everyone needs when you need you right now. You're no good to anyone. And I'll say that again, you need you right now. You need to tend to your own needs. You need to rest. You need to eat better. You need to make sure you're going to the toilet when you say you need the toilet. Like all of those little things build up self-trust. Because the minute you stop doing that and stop tending to yourself and tending to everyone else, you're just signaling to yourself that you are not worthy and deserving. And that's why you're trying to gain external validation through being dependable and the good one, a reliable one, and people pleasing because you don't believe you're worthy of having that for yourself. Do you understand? You're giving your power away. And how we gain that back is through putting our needs first. There is nothing wrong with going above and beyond for people when you are full, right? If you know that you've had a busy week and you need the weekend to recover, then you can go in on Monday full steam ahead to give if you want to. And that's the real caveat here, if you want to. It's the same with dating. Like if you were dating someone and then they maybe pull back and then you're um, feeling uncomfortable about that, say it. Like, what's going on? What's happening here? And then if they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, work is crazy right now. I still really care about you. I've just got so much on my plate right now. I am doing the best I can. That's them asserting their boundary. And then it's up to you how you meet that. Is that okay with you? Are you also busy right now? If you are, you could say, you know what? I'm in exactly the same boat. I absolutely feel you. Let's just touch base when we can. And we'll see from there, you know? But that's scary to a lot of people because again, people want to be in a relationship and know where they stand and have that in black and white. And again, that is good and we do deserve that and we do need that. But equally, it's meeting people where they're at. But at the same time, that same relationship situation that you're in, maybe actually you're thinking, do you know what? The less I'm speaking to this person, I actually don't really like them that much now. So that's okay. I'll just allow this to run its course, or I'll just say, sorry, that doesn't work for me. Have a nice life, you know? There's so much more flexibility here in your life that you deserve to have if you give yourself the permission to have it, you know? And it comes down to letting go of trying to hold everything because the other alternative to what I just explained with that relationship dynamic, if someone's pulling away, you could go full steam ahead and you could be messaging them more and showing up at their work or, commenting on someone else's thing that you know they'd see and then it go round in a circle and doing these like over managing, overbearing things, and that creates an attachment style, which is an anxious attachment style. But if we take all of that out of it, you're just trying to gain control over something you have no control over. It's a bit like some parents when their kids are trying to find freedom and like go out with their friends more and things like that, and then like because they feel like their child is growing and slipping away from them, they then try to like, I don't know, log into their Instagram and Facebook and see what they're doing and like spy on them almost. It's like that's the unhealthy way of trying to control something you have no control over. Whereas if you have a healthy conversation with people and say, "Oh, I really miss you. I'd love to see you," or your child, like, "I'd love to spend a bit of time with you. Can we do something just us?" Like these are the things where we let go of the control for control's sake and we create almost like a healthy olive branch, right? It's like control means I do it all and I have it and I hold it all. But an actual, like, grounded, safe place to be is that I know I have no control over what is happening right now. All I can do is express my needs and trust they'll be met. And if they're not met by other people, I'm meeting them myself. And the invitation is always, fill your cup up first. Always, always, always. And yes, you will fill your cup up and you'll have extra space. And sometimes people won't be free or available. And guess what? You spend more time with yourself. And I know that's scary for so many of you, but I promise you, stillness is not your enemy. And if you listen to my other episode, the one before last that was about calm in the chaos, that's another reminder of this right now. Slow down, let go. Because the more you let go, your body will soon find a new harmony. The nervous system will eventually relax. Again, come into my Telegram space. I've got like activations in there. I've got meditations, journal prompts, and they're around the astrology because obviously that is what correlates for me with things outside of our control. But again, some of it is just about us as humans and what is happening in the world and all of the things. So having just little practices that you can do for yourself to come back into your body and regulate yourself is the anchor point. And that is the internal safety. Because when you feel safe inside yourself, everything else externally will match that. And that takes muscle memory to build and practice because, again, you've been in survival mode, you've been the capable one, the strong one, the reliable one for your whole life. That now we have to create a new story and a new narrative. And your body needs to believe it in order for you to fully get to that new space because you can tell your mind a million times, right? Like I said at the beginning, like you can create that affirmation and say it over and over again, but until all of you believes it, it won't come full circle. And the only reason that you believe the negative ones over the positive ones is because you have actual credible examples of why that didn't work, and that's what you believe now. So, when you actually get your body on board to the new reality of like, oh, I do feel safe in myself actually, and then you feel safe because you're like, I feel safe because my heart isn't racing all the time. I feel safe because when at first thing in the morning, I don't grab my phone and I actually just have a moment to lie there and think about what I'm excited for today, or I do a bit of journaling, or I'm reminded, oh, when I actually journaled last night, I was able to see that this isn't as heavy as I thought it was, because the mind will play tricks on you. But when you get the mind on side with you, and don't get me wrong, it will still challenge you. Even to this day, my mind still tries to challenge me. Hormones, all of those things, it's Mercury retrograde, all of that, it will challenge you. But when you trust you as your baseline, everything in your life is just it's just all like Tetris, like shifting little bits around, and then it clears that line, and then the new line comes in. It gets to be that smoother. And there is still turbulence, right? Nothing is smooth sailing in life. Like anyone that tells you like, then your life will be easy, it's not true. But it's easier and you understand yourself deeper, and that's the power there. So please Set yourself a task where you look through all of the things you're doing. What's a green? What do you need to do? What's an amber? What can you pass on to someone else or maybe not have to do? And what's a red where you just need to stop doing it? It's actually completely not your thing. Micromanaging, being there for other people, when they haven't asked you, all of those things. Do that. And then actually practice it and see what happens. Yes, there might be some turbulence, but on the other side of that, I promise you, it'll be smoother waters. And join the Telegram space, the links in the bio. I was used to saying that for social media, the links in the show notes. And obviously ask me questions and tell me if this resonates because, I'm giving you the examples of what I'm seeing from the women that come into my world, but also for my own story. These are all things that I've gone through myself. Nothing I teach or say is anything I haven't worked through. So, yeah, I'm sending you lots of love. I'm proud of you. And yeah, I promise you, you don't need to carry it all. Lots of love.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please do like, follow and share with a woman that you know needs to hear these words today. The more women that get to listen, the more impact and change and transformation I get to make into this world, and the light in you shines on others. So sharing that forward is absolutely the mission of this. This is how we all give and get and receive the permission to fully shine. I also have some really incredible things happening this year. I'm hosting the second She Rises event in April. So if you want to find out more about that, click the link in the description. And I'm now newly launching my first ever group program that is called Unforgettable. And it's taking you from performing visibility to embodied authority. So whether that's hosting your own podcast or being on stage or being the leader of your field, and you're ready to fully embody this version of you that has this dream and ambition, that the limiting beliefs, the childhood experiences, the generational trauma that has stopped you and prevented you from fully stepping into who you came here to be. This is the space where we get to write a new story, a new chapter in your life. And I'm so excited to hold that space for you. And as always, if you're looking for one-to-one guidance and support, drop me a message because there's always spaces available for you. I'm sending you so much love.